Have you ever wondered what it feels like to sleep in space? Today, we're diving into the world of slumber beyond our atmosphere. Picture this: you're floating, surrounded by a symphony of stars, wrapped in a cocoon of silence. It's a sleep experience unlike any other, and it's an integral part of an astronaut's life in space. You see, sleep isn't just about resting, it's a vital component of human health, especially for those embarking on missions that push the limits of human endurance. But sleeping in space? It's not as straightforward as it is here on Earth. There's no up or down, no cozy bed to crawl into, and the concept of day and night becomes somewhat irrelevant when you're orbiting the Earth every 90 minutes. So, how do astronauts sleep amid these unique circumstances? What does it feel like to surrender to sleep in the vastness of space? To truly understand, let's hear from those who've experienced it firsthand. Astronauts are the only people who've ever slept in space. They've got some fascinating stories to tell. Imagine, if you will, the sensation of drifting off to sleep. Not in a traditional bed, but floating in a zero-gravity environment surrounded by the endless expanse of the cosmos. It's certainly not your typical bedtime routine. Astronauts often describe their sleep in space as a unique, sometimes challenging experience. For instance, Chris Cassidy, a NASA astronaut, once shared that the first few nights were rather unsettling. Accustomed to the pull of gravity, the sensation of floating could be disconcerting and even a little disorienting. But as with anything, adaptation is key. And soon enough, the sensation became a part of his space slumber routine. But sleeping in space isn't all about the float. Another astronaut, Peggy Whitson, highlighted the lack of a simple luxury we often take for granted here on Earth: the feeling of a pillow against our heads. In space, there's no up or down and your head doesn't lay on anything. You're essentially sleeping in a state of constant free fall, which can take some getting used to. Then there's the issue of light. Here on Earth, our sleep-wake cycles are regulated by the rising and setting of the sun. But in space, astronauts witness a sunrise or sunset every 90 minutes. This rapid cycle can play havoc with their internal body clocks, often leading to disrupted sleep. However, it's not all challenging. Some astronauts, like Mike Massimino, have expressed a sense of profound peace and tranquility while sleeping in space, likening it to being cradled in the arms of a mother. The absence of pressure points, the gentle float, and the breathtaking view of Earth can create an experience that's out of this world, quite literally. As you can see, sleeping in space isn't quite like catching some Z's here on Earth. It's a whole new universe of experiences, each as unique as the astronauts who've lived them. But what makes sleep so different in space? It's all in the science. First, let's talk about gravity, or rather, the lack of it. On Earth, our bodies experience a steadfast pull towards the planet's center, a constant pressure we've adapted to over millennia. However, in space, this force evaporates. Astronauts float in a state of perpetual freefall, creating a peculiar sensation that can disrupt the familiar comfort of lying down to sleep. Imagine trying to rest while constantly feeling like you're falling. Bizarre, right? Now let's shift gears to something equally influential on our sleep: light. Here on Earth, our internal clocks, or circadian rhythms, are largely dictated by the 24-hour day-night cycle. The rising and setting sun tells our bodies when to wake up and when to fall asleep. But in space, things get a little complicated. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience a rapid 90-minute day-night cycle. That's 16 sunrises and sunsets every 24 hours. This rapid-fire light-dark transition can play havoc with the body's internal clock, making it challenging to maintain a regular sleep schedule. And it's not just about when to sleep, but also the quality of sleep. The lack of gravity can affect blood flow and breathing patterns, which in turn influences sleep stages and cycles. The body's usual cues for sleep, like the heaviness of limbs or the sinking feeling into a mattress, simply don't exist in zero gravity. This can lead to lighter, less restorative sleep, often punctuated by wakefulness. Moreover, the constant hum of the space station's life support systems can also be a factor. It's like trying to sleep next to a running refrigerator, not exactly the serene silence we're used to on Earth, is it? So it's not just the novelty of being in space that makes sleep there so unique. It's a complex interplay of environmental factors, physiological changes, and the body's ever-adapting responses to these challenges. So the science is clear: sleep in space is a whole different ballgame. Astronauts must prepare for sleep in space much like we do on Earth, but with a few twists. Just as we have bedtime routines here on terra firma, astronauts in space also have their own unique rituals before they hit the hay. The first step in their nighttime routine is finding their way to their designated sleep station. These are small, closet-sized cabins that provide a modicum of privacy in the otherwise open spacecraft. They are not just for comfort, but also for safety. In the microgravity environment of space, astronauts would float around if not secured, potentially causing damage to themselves or the equipment. To prevent this, astronauts secure themselves inside their sleep stations using straps. Imagine trying to get some shut-eye while strapped down. It might sound uncomfortable, but in the weightlessness of space, the pressure points and discomfort we associate with lying down on Earth simply don't exist. The sensation is more akin to floating in a pool than lying in a bed. Even in the void of space, there are disturbances that can interfere with a good night's sleep. The space station orbits the Earth about 16 times a day, which means astronauts experience a sunrise or sunset every 45 minutes. To combat this, they make use of sleep-promoting tools such as eye shades to block out the light. Noise can also be an issue. The constant hum of life support systems and other machinery can make it difficult to fall asleep. To drown out this background noise, astronauts often use noise reduction devices. These are similar to the noise-canceling headphones we use on Earth, and they can play soothing sounds like waves or rain to help astronauts drift off. Sleeping in space is no easy feat, and it takes some getting used to. But with the right preparations in place, astronauts can catch some Z's even while hurtling around the Earth at 17,500 miles per hour. As we've seen, even in the final frontier, bedtime routines matter. Preparation is key, ensuring astronauts get the best possible rest. Sleep in space isn't just a novelty, it has real effects on astronauts. Just as sleep is vital to our health on Earth, it's equally important for astronauts in space. However, the unique conditions of space can significantly impact the quality and quantity of sleep astronauts get, with wide-ranging effects on their health and performance. Let's start with fatigue. In space, astronauts work in a highly demanding environment, both physically and mentally. The zero-gravity environment, while offering its own unique thrill, also demands constant physical adjustment. This, combined with long working hours and intense mental concentration, can lead to a state of chronic fatigue that can be hard to shake off, even during rest periods. This fatigue, if not properly managed, can lead to impaired cognition. The brain, just like any other organ, needs rest to function optimally. Lack of quality sleep can affect an astronaut's ability to think clearly, make decisions, and react quickly. These are all crucial skills for maintaining safety and completing mission objectives in the unpredictable environment of space. Then there's the issue of disrupted circadian rhythms. Back on Earth, our internal body clock is set by the rising and setting of the sun. In space, astronauts experience 16 sunrises and sunsets every day due to the speed of the International Space Station orbiting the Earth. This rapid day-night cycle can throw off an astronaut's internal body clock, leading to insomnia and other sleep disorders. These sleep disturbances can have long-term effects on an astronaut's health, including increased risk for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. It can also affect their mental health, leading to mood swings, depression, and anxiety. Sleep in space is a challenge, but it's one that must be overcome for the sake of astronaut health and mission success. The quest to conquer space is not just about building more powerful rockets or discovering new planets, it's also about understanding and overcoming the physiological challenges that space presents, such as the impact of space sleep on astronauts. So, sleeping in space, it's not just an out-of-this-world experience, it's a scientific and logistical challenge with real consequences. We've journeyed through the unique experiences of astronauts, heard their tales of floating dreams and starlit slumbers. We've delved into the science behind space sleep, exploring how the absence of gravity impacts the sleep cycle, and the innovative solutions designed to combat these challenges. The act of preparing for sleep in space is a meticulous process, involving specially designed sleeping bags and a careful orchestration of light to mimic the Earth's day-night cycle. We've also touched on the implications of space sleep on the health and performance of astronauts, highlighting the importance of good sleep, even in the final frontier. Next time you tuck yourself in for a good night's sleep, spare a thought for those drifting off in the void of space. Sleep well, Earthlings.